Long before European ships crossed the Atlantic, the Americas were home to complex, continent-spanning networks. Early colonial accounts often depicted a pristine wilderness, but the reality was a landscape dominated by thriving civilizations. Millions of people lived across North and South America. They developed permanent, sedentary agricultural societies, built massive earthworks, and maintained trade routes that linked the coastlines to the deep interior. In the American Midwest, near the modern Mississippi River, stood the city of Cahokia. At its peak, it was the most populous urban center in North America. This is Monk's Mound, the largest prehistoric earthen structure on the continent, standing as physical proof of the engineering scale these societies achieved. The continent was a fully realized human world. European arrival initiated a monumental collision with nations that governed the land for thousands of years. By the 17th century, a new demographic began arriving on the eastern seaboard. The English Puritans brought with them a rigid and highly specific worldview. They saw themselves as the architects of a city upon a hill. According to their theology, they carried a preordained mandate to multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it. They believed God had directed them to prosper in this specific geography. This religious conviction merged directly with secular English common law. The colonists established legal systems of naturalization and property ownership that restricted land rights to English subjects. These legal structures favored the new arrivals and structurally marginalized the indigenous inhabitants. These combined legal and theological beliefs formed the core of American exceptionalism. This ideology declared that the United States held a unique status, an inherent entitlement to the continent, and a mandate to export its version of liberty. Framing expansion as a divine command turned the physical conquest of the land into a moral imperative. Displacing the original inhabitants felt completely inevitable. As the 1800s progressed, the United States adopted a strategy of extensive growth. This economic model relied on the rapid acquisition of physical land, massive influxes of labor, and the extraction of natural resources. The primary catalyst for this strategy was the 1803 Louisiana Purchase. Buying the territory from France instantly tripled the size of the young country, creating a ravenous appetite for western frontiers. In 1845, a journalist named John Louis O'Sullivan gave this appetite a name: Manifest Destiny. He wrote that spreading federated self-government across the continent was Providence's plan. This 1872 painting captures the idealized myth of expansion. Columbia floats westward, bringing telegraphs and trains, while driving indigenous populations and wildlife into the darkness. The physical reality on the ground was aggressive and remarkably fast. Over just a few decades, the United States annexed Texas, secured the Oregon Territory, and incorporated the Southwest following the war with Mexico, pushing its borders to the Pacific Ocean. Manifest Destiny provided the moral cover for a relentless land grab, securing the raw geographic engine the country used to build its industrial supremacy. Holding the land was only the first step. Utilizing the economic resources of that geography required immense technological infrastructure to connect the disparate coasts. The physical manifestation of this connectivity was the Transcontinental Railroad. Completed in 1869, it dropped coast-to-coast travel times from months to days, accelerating industrial throughput. Powering this industrial machine required a massive surge in human capital. Millions of European and Asian immigrants disembarked at American ports, providing the essential labor needed to lay tracks, mine coal, and run factories. This demographic explosion generated profound political friction. The United States relied on foreign labor to build its economy, yet the government passed increasingly restrictive, race-based legislation, like the Chinese Exclusion Act, denying workers naturalized citizenship. The American industrial engine depended on this immigrant labor force. Even so, the foundational ideology struggled to accept these workers as equal participants in its destiny. There was a severe cost to this strategy of extensive growth. Clearing the land for white settlement required the systematic, government-mandated removal of Native American populations. Federal policy shifted away from early treaties. By the 1830s, the strategy evolved into forced, violent relocation. The starkest evidence of this was the Trail of Tears. This historical marker in Georgia records the deaths of thousands of Cherokee people who succumbed to disease, exposure, and starvation after being imprisoned and marched 1,000 miles to the west. At the same time, territorial expansion intensified divisions among American citizens. The debate over whether to allow slavery in the Western territories fractured the nation along sectional lines, ultimately triggering the Civil War. The uncompromising pursuit of territorial expansion nearly destroyed the United States from within. The architecture of national progress was built directly upon a foundation of profound human cost. By the 20th century, the borders of the contiguous United States were set. With the continent mapped and subdued, the country shifted its focus to the global economy. This chart shows the shift toward intensive growth. Physical land declines as a primary economic driver, while intangible capital, like education and innovation, experiences an exponential rise. Mid-century, this knowledge-based engine accelerated, vastly outpacing the GDP growth of all other nations. By the year 2000, the myth of American exceptionalism functioned as a pervasive assumption of global economic dominance and total physical invulnerability. That assumption of physical invulnerability shattered on September 11, 2001. The attacks pierced a psychological boundary, ending the belief that the American homeland was untouchable. The destruction in New York and Pennsylvania generated an immediate surge of national unity. In the weeks following the attacks, public patriotism swelled alongside a sharp demand for military retaliation. This event launched a different kind of expansion, the War on Terror. The direct strike on the Pentagon triggered a borderless, ideological conflict that looked nothing like the territorial conquests of the 19th century. The unity of those early days did not last. Decades of prolonged overseas military operations, combined with heightened domestic security fears, slowly eroded the public's trust in their own government and institutions. Today, America's frontier is no longer found on a map. The country's modern challenge is reconciling its defining myth of exceptionalism with the complex, shared, and vulnerable reality of the 21st century world.